Good morning. This is Dennis Fuchs from the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District with the latest update of some of the great things happening on the countryside. As everybody's noticed, it's a little wet out there, and we're seeing a lot of soil movement out there. And there's just a lot of pressure on farmers to provide a lot of our natural resource protection. And we with the soil movement and some of the things going on, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I read here on the Southwest Research and Outreach Center website in Lamberton. And they go on to say the health of the people, the environment, and the health of the economies depend on a productive land and reliable sources of clean water. Minnesota contains some of the most productive farmland in the nation, if not in the world, and is ranked top 10 in corn, soybean, sugar beet, turkey, and swine production. And as everybody knows, Stearns County is number one in dairy production. Minnesota is also headwaters of the Mississippi River, an important water resource for recreation opportunities and for transporting manufactured goods and ag commodities. Agriculture is under increasing pressure to develop technologies and strategies that contribute to solutions to energy, food security, and climate change concerns. Intensifying cropping systems and adapting farming practices to increase productivity, mainly through more intensive nutrient management, drainage, and irrigation, can result in increased production, but, and here's the big but, can also result in impaired water quality and loss of biological diversity. Coupled with our growing food, feed, fiber, and field production demands, this threatens agricultural sustainability. New science-based knowledge is needed to assess the agronomic, economic, and ecological consequences of integrating various soil and water management strategies in ag landscapes. Natural and managed ecosystems play an essential role in the regulation and maintenance of ecological processes. That includes everything from gas emissions like carbon dioxide, water quality, water quantity, nutrient biogeochemical cycling, and climate regulation. These systems are also important as habitat for indigenous plants and animals, production of food, feed, fiber, energy, and opportunities for recreation and education. So that was on the University of Minnesota Southwest Research Outreach Center in Lamberton website. And I think looking at what we see happening on the landscape, I can tell you for a fact, if we continue to allow soil to move at the rate it has this spring, our grandkids will not be producing the same yields of crops that we are today. And we need to look for options. We need farmers to be on high alert to be implementing the best conservation practices on their fields. And there is an opportunity on every field in Stearns County to improve our soil and water conservation practices. And I've gotten several calls this week and in this spring from landowners, from cities, from townships, and from the county on soil movement and impacts to our structural bridges, downstream impacts from landowners with water flowing over the pasture land no longer being available to graze. So there's tremendous downstream impacts by the actions of folks in the upper part of the watershed, and this goes all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. So we need to continue to explore opportunities to provide all of those things that I just read, food, fiber, feed, energy. There's just, everybody's looking at the farmer to provide this, and then you've got a lakefront property. So it's a tough time in farming, and thank gosh we got a safety net out there compared to many years ago where there wasn't much of a safety net. And also, I wanted to share a resolution that the Stearns County SWCD Board of Supervisors approved just recently, and that's to promote diversity on the landscape. Right now we're putting a lot of eggs in one basket, And we're trying to get everything planted in the spring, and we're trying to get everything harvested in the fall. If you get a wet spring, a lot of those eggs get smashed. If we have an early frost, a lot of those eggs don't hatch. And what we need is a little more diversity in the landscape, and the Board of Soil and Water, the SWCD Board of Supervisors recently passed a resolution, and that's how we introduce policy and change what happens on the landscape. And I'm going to just read this. It includes whereas statements, and then it results in a therefore be it resolved. So the title is Promote Diversity on the Landscape. Whereas reduced crop diversity in ag production systems can increase pest resistance and other problems. And whereas current annual cropping systems have a short active growing season. And whereas covering the ground with plants for a larger portion of the year by adding winter annuals and perennials to the landscape provide multiple benefits, including diversifying ag operations, protecting soils and waterways, and increasing wildlife habitat. Whereas increasing research, technology available in an alternative crop production system and markets could provide an increase in adoption and economic opportunity for producers. Therefore, be it resolved that the Minnesota Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts support the University of Minnesota's Forever Green initiative or similar programs to improve plant genetics while creating new economic opportunities for winter annual and perennial crops that will promote diversity on the landscape. And that is something that the University of Minnesota received $1 million from the legislators this year as a one-time shot in the arm. What they need is that on a continuous basis to continue to explore other plants that can make farmers money other than corn and soybeans, and to help diversify that crop rotation. And we're looking for your support as we move into the next legislative session next year. There'll be discussion about this Forever Green initiative. And right now, a lot of the dollars generated by corn soybean goes into corn soybean research. There is no other crops being explored for farmers to grow and plant on their fields that can provide some of the things that we need to protect our natural resources. So it's something that we hope to see happen. What happens with our resolution process that was approved here locally. And then we had our area meeting, which included 12 SWCDs from Benton to Big Stone, and at that area meeting, they approved the resolution this week, and now it goes to the state convention, where all the SWCDs in the state of Minnesota will have a chance to vote it down or vote it up. If it does get approved, then we'll start working with the Minnesota Association of SWCDs and legislators in making sure that we fully fund the Forever Green initiative with the University of Minnesota to start evaluating new plant types. And you got to keep in mind, soybean is a relatively new crop. 50 years ago, nobody was growing soybeans, and now about half of our acreage is covered in soybeans. So there are other crops out there that need to be explored, and this is a great opportunity to do it. Another thing that our board has been discussing is a soil loss ordinance. With a lot of these calls coming from the city and township and landowners, we need to start evaluating how we can work with folks when voluntary measures are not taking care of the problem. And that's something that needs to be talked about. We cannot have our natural capital disappear and expect the next generation of farmers, our kids and our kids' kids, to make a living when we're destroying our natural capital. So let's work on it. And I know it's difficult times right now, as wet as it is, but we need to continue to identify where we can put grass, waterways, and conservation measures on our fields to protect our topsoil. It is critical that we do that here in Stearns County, in Minnesota, and across the U.S. to protect our national security. Speaking of national security, let's talk a little bit about the Lake Henry Lakers. They're only one game behind St. Martin. A lot of times the Lakers like to give St. Martin that feeling of confidence that they're really doing well, and then things change a little bit later in the season when Lake Henry Lakers just step up to the plate and put it out of the park. All right, get out to a ball game if it's dry enough, and then cheer those Lakers on, and St. Martin cheer them on too. They need the help, And Richmond's right there too. Doggone it, they're right there. Well, and Roscoe, they're right there too. So it's pretty tight race right now. But the Lakers like to give everybody a chance, and they're doing that right now. This has been Dennis Fuchs with the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District report.